Hi, I'm Daphna Michelson-Janae, and I'm here with my friend Beth Steinhorn, and we are going to do the social media mission statement exercise for you today. And you are in your groups right now, and I know you're wondering, why is she on camera? Why isn't she here in person? And I'm so sorry that I can't be everywhere all the time, but what we are going to do, you will do with us. So first, let me introduce Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hi, Daphna. Hi, everyone.
Beth and I kind of grew up together in our careers. We started our careers together in Denver in different jobs, but we crossed all the time. And we have children the same age, so we're also parents. But Beth is a business owner, and she is going to do this exercise from the hat of business owner. Can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. I'm president of JF Fixler Group. And our company works with organizations, nonprofit, government, health organizations, schools all across the U.S. and Canada to help embrace volunteer and member engagement as a key business strategy. So how can we tap into the human resource, talent, and skills to really achieve our mission?
Beautiful. So a lot of crossover here because the people who are watching today are being trained as leaders to work within their schools, to work within governments, and how do we partner together? And they're all volunteers. So Beth is A, great resource for you, and B, going to do this exercise alongside of you. So first, let me start with a little bit of my social media training strategy. We're going to touch on the three main platforms, although I would say Pinterest is kind of creeping up as a main platform, so maybe I'll toss that one in. But I talk about my three main platforms being Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And Pinterest, like I said, is kind of creeping up. I want you to think about the different platforms via their different language. Oftentimes we think about using a shortcut. So there are tools where you can post once and it'll post on all of your sites. The problem I have with that is there are language differences for each site. So just like there may be language differences in your home than in your student's classroom at school, right? Do you maybe speak Spanish at home and your kids speak English at school? If you came into your children's classroom and spoke only Spanish, a lot of the kids might not be able to engage with you. The same way, if your teacher came into your home and only spoke English, you might not be able to engage in the same way. So when we look at the different platforms, they are also languages. So we're going to look at them in context. Facebook is your living room. Think about it. Beth and I have our hot drinks here. Cheers. Right? Mm-hmm. When I do Facebook, I am thinking about sitting down at the coffee table with Beth. How am I communicating with Beth when we're sitting down at the coffee table? I might say, hey, Beth, my new book came out. I'm so excited. And by the way, I'm so bummed by the big snafu with Amazon, and maybe that'll get fixed soon. And we're going to communicate like friends, right? And Beth is going to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Or I'm so excited, right? I really like that your book came out. Or she's going to communicate with me in a really informal way that is person to person. So when you post on Facebook, you are talking to a person, even if you're posting on a business wall, right? So if Beth has business hat on, or you who are watching have the hat on of I have a program and a project and I started a Facebook page for that program or project, you are still communicating as if you are inviting your viewers into your house and to your coffee table, or vice versa. You are sitting down in their house at their coffee table. Where do you mostly scroll through Facebook?
Well, on my phone, wherever I am.
Right. Yeah. So
wherever I am.
So for me,
waiting to pick up kids at school.
Right.
Before I go to bed.
Yep. I'm lying in bed a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Facebook is my kind of nighttime time, my wake up time. You're going to find me on early in the morning. So you don't want to get a hard line news message early in the morning or late at night. You want to talk to your friends and you want to communicate and you want to talk about things that matter to you. Twitter, my favorite, actually. I know it's hard for some people to believe because I spend more time on Facebook, but Twitter is my favorite. Twitter is a 24/7 networking party. The key to getting into the right party is utilizing a hashtag. We've been utilizing the hashtag parent leaders. And if you are a parent leader, and I know you are because you're watching this, when you post on Twitter, always toss parent leaders at the end so we can all be communicating and learning from one another. But what are hashtags that make sense? So for Beth, hashtag that makes sense might be volunteer. A hashtag that makes sense might be senior citizens, because you do a lot of, at least that was kind of the beginning of the work, was how do you engage people who are aging out of the workforce and ready to volunteer. So thinking about which different parties that you want to join. I like SOCENT, which is social entrepreneurs hashtag. I do use that one a lot. A hashtag is the pound mark with a series of letters or numbers following it, spaces or punctuation marks, and a hashtag. Never use them in hashtags. Do use capital letters if you are merging words together. It just makes them easier to read. You can use hashtags on Instagram and Facebook and all of the social, LinkedIn, but Twitter is really where it started, and Twitter and Instagram are where they're strongest. Instagram, the culture is post a picture and just hashtag the heck out of it. Twitter, if you can be really efficient and use your hashtag in your blurb, then you are saving time, space, and letters. You only have 140 of letters. So that's how you get around Twitter. 24/7, no barriers to entry. It's a great way to expand your platform. You don't have to have any followers. We started tweeting this weekend using parent leaders on a brand new Twitter account with 0 followers. We had 30 by the end of 3 days, but our tweets, more importantly, were seen by hundreds of thousands of people. So if you utilize hashtags appropriately, you expand your message. The next one is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is your boardroom. So how are you going to communicate in a very professional manner? So when you put a post on LinkedIn, you might ask a question as how this relates to your business, your work, your volunteering. So I gave the example when we started of my book that came out, which it just did. It's called It Takes a Little Crazy to Make a Difference. You can find it at barnesandnoble.com because, well, so I told Beth, and the first one I posted on Facebook, oh my goodness, I'm so distressed because there's a business snafu on Amazon, but guess what? You can find my book on barnesandnoble.com. And Beth and I engaged, she liked it, she communicated with it. It was very informal, collegial, friendly, right? Informal. On Twitter, I can post snafu on Amazon, on hashtag Amazon, find my book at barnesandnoble.com and put the link. Very simple, straight to the point. I used a hashtag for Amazon for people who are looking for things on Amazon. I used a hashtag at book. I used my personal hashtag for my book, which is It Takes Crazy. And very Twitter friendly. It can go beyond my following. And on LinkedIn, I might put a post. How do you handle a customer
service
challenge? A customer service challenge, right? That's excellent. How do I handle a customer service challenge? And I would hashtag customer service even on LinkedIn because that's a really big followed tag. So as you start utilizing the platforms, you'll learn which are the sites, which are the places, but do always put a link to the best of your ability, and always try to direct them back to your content on your website where possible. That's getting them out of the noise of either the living room, the boardroom, or the 24/7 networking party, and getting them into your house. Okay, so that's the basic overview. Pinterest, which I love, which is still 80% female, although the male user base is growing, is like a scrapbook. If you know how to do a scrapbook, you'll be able to pick up Pinterest. It's not as useful yet for expanding your platform, although it's growing, but it is worth checking out, and I love it. I hang out on it when I can, and it's to me, it's generally a fashion break, it's a photography break, or I keep collections of articles that empower women because that's really important to me. Okay, so you've gotten my social media quick and dirty overview. Are you ready to jump into content? Great. The social media mission statement really focuses on what I think is the most important element of social media. What is the content that you're sharing and spreading, right? We're in a content generation area. This video that we're developing for you right now, this is content. We're creating content for you. When you put content out there, you inform, you educate, and you inspire. Generally, you want to really keep it positive. There's no need to go down the negative Nelly route. Even when you're handling a tough situation, hard things, we were talking about your daughter experiencing bullying or a bullying experience in her middle school. Yes, you can talk about the tough things, but what are you giving in your content that is positive at the end? A call to action, a directive, information, education. Just wrap your head around that as we go through this exercise. Okay. Ready? So everybody pull out your sheets. You have these sheets in front of you. It says social media mission statement on top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you a series of questions. There are 3. No cheating, no working ahead. That's you. Got it? All right, good. Okay, excellent. I'm going to give you 90 seconds to answer each of these questions. And what I've found is 90 seconds, if you put that pressure on your brain, you're going to squirt out the best stuff that you really need onto that piece of paper through your pen. So I don't want you to edit it. I don't want you to overthink it. I don't want you to worry about punctuation. Just get the content out there on the piece of paper in the 90 seconds that I give you. So I'm going to get my little phone ready so that I can time you. The first question, don't write yet. Wait until I finish explaining. The first question seems easy. What is it that you do? Ooh, I forgot to caveat this. Put on the hats of what it is that you're working on. Just wanted to make sure we talked about it at the beginning, but remember, you've got that hat on, okay? So as you answer these questions, because there are 76 million answers to what is it that you do. So we're putting on our specific hats, whatever program, project we're working on, whatever we want content around. You got your hat on, excellent. Business head on. So the first question is, what is it that you do? Now, what I want you to understand here is there should be absolutely zero elevator pitch language on this sheet. Now, some of you may have developed what we call an elevator pitch, which is how do you quickly and succinctly explain what you do and inspire somebody to ask you further questions. It's generally pretty antiseptic, pretty clean. It doesn't have any of the emotion. It doesn't have any of the story behind it. Social media content is about stories. It's not about big words. It's about all of us being on the same level platform and engaging with one another. For us, it's a lot about being parent leaders. We are parents. We struggle with issues. We have to have a life. We have to put food on the table. We have to inspire our children, hopefully to go to college, find a career, lots of things that we're constantly thinking of. When we talk, we want to be heart to heart. So I really want you to put your heart head on as well. So I've asked you to put 2 hats on. What's the project you're working on, but also speak from the heart, okay? So when I ask, what is it that you do? I am not asking for your job title. And I am not asking for the title that you are working, I'm parent leader who's advocating with the state for bilingual expansion of education or Medicaid expansion or whatever it is that you are working towards. It's not the title. It's what is it at the end of the day that you do? I often use the example of a real estate professional. They are not selling houses. They are bringing people together with their dreams, right? Do we all have a dream of what does that perfect house look like? And where are our children's rooms? And what are they playing with? That's what a realtor really gives you access to. So I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock and I'm going to ask you, what is it that you do? Okay, is everybody ready? I've got my stopwatch going and do you have any questions? No? All right, ready, go. That was 1 minute. You have 30 seconds left. You've got 10 more seconds. Try to get your last words, last thoughts on there. stop. How was that for you?
It was good. A little frantic, but good.
It definitely feels a little bit frantic because, you're putting all of that out there and you're like, oh my God, I only have 90 seconds. But do you feel like you got good stuff out there?
I do. And the best tip was to let go of elevator speech.
Yeah. I mean, and it's hard for a lot of people. It really is.
Yeah.
A lot of us have been trained a lot how to speak in that language. Right. We got to lose it for social media.
Really mean?
Yeah. And we're getting down to the base of it. Okay.
Got it.
Now, the next question is a little bit harder. This is I call it your light bulb moment. The question, and it may bring up stuff for you because I know that your business has transitioned, is why is it that you do what you do? Why do you do what you do? And by the way, if you don't have this social media mission statement exercise, you can always reach out to me at my website and I'm happy to send that to you. Or you can just write the questions down. You don't need this form. It just helps people think linearly. So when you think about why it is that you do what you do, I want you to try to remember if you ever had a moment of inspiration that said, this is what's going to take me down this track. Did you meet someone? Was there a mentor you had at one point in time? Did you observe somebody working in this field? Is it a family business, or is it a family field or a family inspiration? I love to tell the story of one time I was using this particular exercise with a large group of small business owners. So mom and pop organizations, independent engineers in particular. And I always ask for volunteers, and this guy stands up and he says he's an engineer, and I get really nervous because engineers have a hard time letting go of higher level language. And I'm like, is he going to be able to talk from heart? And he stands up and he says, when I was in 4th grade, my favorite auntie gave me a watch and the watch broke. And I spent the next 3 days taking that watch apart and putting it back together. And I fell in love with systems and I became an engineer. All of a sudden, the entire energy in the room shifted. And we all wanted to hire that engineer because we knew that he was working from a place of his auntie, his favorite auntie. And all of a sudden we saw him as this little 4th grade boy trying to, save this watch that his auntie had given him. What is your why? When you think back, what is your why? And don't just write down my kids. It's deeper than your kids. What is your why? Okay, I'm putting 90 seconds on the clock and you write down, why do you do what you do? Go. You have another 30 seconds. Keep going.
I hope you don't have to read my writing.
Nope, you're going to read it to me, and you just did it exactly in the right amount of time. Okay. All right, last question. Are you ready?
Yes.
Now, this is kind of the what's in it for me, for them answer, okay? So think about the people you're talking to, the people you're trying to reach, the people you're trying to communicate with, your potential clients, potential customers, potential families you want to engage in your volunteer efforts, whatever the case may be. This is think about it from their hat. The question is, what benefit will people gain by doing business with you or supporting your cause, right? And a lot of A lot of us are cause oriented. But the question is, what benefit are they going to gain by doing business specifically with you? My favorite example of this was I was working with an older gentleman. He had to be well in his 80s, who wanted to learn how to use social media. And, great, awesome. And he leads these hikes, and they're overnight hikes into the mountains. And when I asked him this question, his answer was very simple. When you come to hike with me, you are going where my grandfather took my father, where my father took me, where I took my children, and I now take my grandchildren, and I'm happy to expand my family with yours. Who wouldn't want to go on an overnight hike with him? The stories he must have to share, his own personal experiences. We become part of his family. That makes him my first choice for a guide into the mountains for an overnight hike. So as you think about your what's in it for them, I want you to really think beyond, again, I'm going to save them something, whatever, money or whatever it is. No, you're bringing them along on your journey. What is it that you're offering them? Okay? This is not your sales pitch. Very clearly, don't use any sales language. If you've been taught a pitch, this is not pitch language. That's the same as elevator pitch. It's all pitch. If it's got pitch at the end, it doesn't belong here in your social media mission statement. Okay?
Got it.
Are you clear?
This is the hardest.
This is the hardest. This is absolutely the hardest. 90 seconds on the clock. Go. Thirty more seconds. Okay, ready?
Yep.
Last word?
Yep.
Look, you bulleted numbers. Awesome. Okay. We only have a few more minutes together, and this is the most important part. On the bottom of your sheet, you'll see it says bringing it together. I'm going to give you an example of what you're going to do with your group today. So what ultimately I'd like you to do in the room over there is share this with a partner. So switch. You take theirs, and I'll work on Beth's, she'll work on mine, etc. But I'm going to show you what you're going to do for each other. And this is what I call the magic element. This is where we boil it down. And you're going to see right here. And ultimately, what we're going to be laying out is the basis for a content strategy and a mission statement, which you will utilize for your social media. Ready?
Ready.
Okay. We're going to hope that this holds strong. Oop, there goes my black marker. Okay. Flipping over. Little cattywampus. Okay. So what is it that you do? What I'm going to do is I'm going to listen for what I think are the powerful content areas that Beth has mentioned in her statement and the powerful words that she's used. So just read your answer for me.
I bring voices together. I teach, write, and coach to help people let go of needing to do all their work themselves and instead engage others who care about the same things to work with them. I inspire them to let go, listen to other voices, and work together to make the world a better place.
Ooh, okay, so go about halfway through and read that again.
I bring voices together. I teach, write, and coach to help people let go of needing to do all their work themselves. And instead engage others who care about the same things to work with them.
Okay. That was
Reading. That was the first half.
Okay, second half.
Inspire them to let go, listen to other voices, and work together to make the world a better place.
Okay. Okay, great. So let me give you an example of what I wrote down from the very first part of this exercise. First of all, Beth brings voices together. Okay, so this is an important element of her work. She also teaches, she writes, and she coaches. Engagement of people is another important area. We work on the hard stuff. We work on the hard stuff. So this needs a little bit of work around it, but this is an element of what it is that we do. Letting go of doing it all is something that is a very strong content area, very good area for writing and training and teaching people. So I've put that together. Listening to voices to work together. I'm bringing this together. Kind of, it might not have been exactly in order on your thing, or maybe it was. You had the whole making the world a better place, and we can keep that. You know, making world better is kind of the underlying mission of this answer. But these are all content areas. Content areas. That means that Beth can write and post anything on her website that has to do in these areas. Okay? Whether or not it falls into the mission statement, if Beth decides one morning that she's really reading a really great article that trains somebody on how to let go of doing it all, it fits exactly in Beth's catchment area, and she can post it on all of her different social media platforms utilizing appropriate language to share with people this reading, whether or not she wrote it. That's the most powerful thing about social media is you don't have to generate all the content, although as a thought leader, you should be the one putting out the content. And when you are advocating and leading an effort for your children, your school, your community, whatever that might be, the more content you can generate that trains and educates people, the better. But this is your basis for formulating level one. We're going to go through all three in just this way. So you work with your partners while I'm working with Beth, and let's see what we can come up with together. Okay, Beth, what was your answer to number 2?
Why do you do what you do? I truly believe that our families, our communities, and our world is a better place when we have multiple voices around the table. There's more creativity, more ideas, more investment, and organizations that can tap into these communities, these groups of voices, can better solve the problems that they're trying to address. And then I wrote, plus, I just love it. It's what I get excited about doing every day when I wake up.
Okay, so I'm going to push you a little bit.
Okay.
I want you to go back. What was your first moment where you started down this path?
When I started in museums, and I had an amazing volunteer who was probably 30 years my senior, who had raised her kids and was going back to school to get her BA. And she was my research partner. And we did evaluation together. She helped me in all sorts of areas of my work. I was a 25-year-old new professional, and I taught her things, and she taught me things.
Okay, so really powerful story right there. So I'm going to write, I was inspired
By Carol.
we can put her name, by Carol, who was my senior. And I was so young. She taught me. She taught me what?
How much volunteers can offer, and that you can work together across generations.
She taught me to work together across generations. This is your work. So do you see how I pushed Beth? I felt like the story was missing. the story is really critical in this second question. So if you didn't get your story out there, I want you to think about that why. I want you to get back to that person, that light bulb smashing moment. You know, we always have that image of the light bulb over the head. When did it explode, right? Mm-hmm. And so for Beth, it was Carol. Carol really created this why in you. So I believe families, world, better with more voices and diverse. So where can you find content and share content that talks about a world that is better with diverse voices? And more importantly, how can you bring people together across generations to achieve what you stated there? Content about that, workshops about that, materials about that. This is all in your bailiwick of what you can be posting on social media to train and educate people in your cause. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, ready? Last one.
Ready.
I'm going to flip the page again. Okay, and go.
What benefit will people gain by doing business with me? They get more time. They get a mentor, a coach, someone who understands their work, someone in their court. They get to be, because we do a lot of work on piloting innovations and entrepreneurship, they get to be part of something new and exciting. And that's so rewarding for people. New ideas, new projects, new teams. And in terms of volunteer engagement, they also get more prestige. When the rest of an organization understands that what volunteers can bring, then the director of volunteer services, the volunteer engagement professional, is viewed as someone who holds the keys to the castle. So they get to source resources that helps everybody else in the organization.
Oh, I love the imagery of holding the keys to the castle. I love that. Anything else left on your thing?
Nope.
The keys to the castle. Okay, excellent. So what Beth did here was she brought it all together for what her audience, who she's trying to speak to, what they're going to get out of it. Think about it. She just offered you the keys to the castle, right? We all want the keys to the castle. We all want the keys to the castle. She also talked about, what do you mean by more time?
If they have volunteer partners who can successfully do some of the work that they're doing, they have time to do other projects. It frees them up.
I gotcha. More time, mentor, coach, someone in their court. Exciting to be part of new projects, innovations, teams. All of these are areas that, again, you can be writing about on your content. So this is your basic content strategy. You just laid it out. We have underlined and we have circled and we have captioned all of the different areas that you could be writing about to share about. Now let's boil it down into a mission statement. I'm going to need you to hold this, and we're going to do this really quickly. I'm going to need you to hold this one. Okay, let's hold that one up so I can look at it. And what we're going to do is, I call this my magic. Right? And you're going to have to do this magic too. So I'm going to read through all of this and I'm going to try and come up with a statement that captures it all. And, you know, my big challenge to everyone is if you can do it in 140 characters, you win. I can't always do it in 140 characters, and that's really hard. If you do it in 140 characters, it could be your Twitter bio, but it's really hard, really hard. Okay, so I bring, and start with an I statement. This is you. This is about you. Remember, this is not a business anything. This is you. I bring people together to do the hard work of letting go and sharing.
Oh, sorry.
And sharing the workload. I wordsmith this afterwards so I didn't have work twice, but for now we're going to just do it quickly. Sharing the workload. When you bring together diversity. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Diversity of voice, generation, background,
And skill.
and skill. You open the doors for new teams, innovations, and successes. This is the path to the Castle Keys. Okay, so what we brought together for Beth is I bring people together to do the work of letting go and sharing the workload. When you bring together diversity of voices, voice generation, background, skill, you open the doors for new teams, innovations, and successes. This is the path to the Castle Keys. Beth has offered you the Castle Keys, and now you know exactly why you might want to work with her, right? Does this feel powerful? Does this feel, does it emanate with you and the work that you do? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have a big task ahead of you. Work with your partners, figure out what are those common areas, and then boil it down into just a couple of sentences that are your social media mission statement. And here's the trick, especially if you're going to work with volunteers and you're going to share the social media accounts so more people are using it than just you. If it doesn't fit into this statement, if it doesn't support or back up or fall into one of the areas that we have underlined and circled here, it does not go onto your social media properties. This is a CYA policy. Cover your policy, right? Because you don't want to have the wrong information posted on your platform that might offend, that might turn away your audience. You're trying to engage. Social media is not a bullhorn. It is an opportunity to create real conversation, real movement, real impact, and do the work that you're doing as parent leaders. Thanks so much for spending time with me today. Next time I'll see you in person.